Okay, hello and welcome to question 3 of the chemistry mock. This will hopefully help you get as many marks as you can next time you do a question like this, so please enjoy. We are looking at question 3. It says vulcanized rubber is made by reacting natural rubber with sulfur. During the reaction, the sulfur forms cross links between the polymer chains. Samples of vulcanized rubber and natural rubber are tested to see how hard wearing they are, and scientists measure the time taken to wear away 1 centimetre of the rubber. So you have a little picture there. You've got your sample of a rubber underneath. You have a round roller with a rough surface, and it is rotating round and round, so that rough surface will eventually wear away your rubber sample. Question A says, when the rubber samples are tested, a number of factors are kept constant. Suggest 2 of these factors. So if you have a look over at your mark scheme, you could have put speed of the rotational movement, you could have put the roughness of the surface, and you could have put the material on the surface. You could have also said the pressure or the weight applied. You were not allowed to say the time tested, because scientists measure the time taken to wear away 1 centimetre. So the time is your dependent variable. It's the thing you're measuring. It is not one of your control variables that you keep the same. You were not allowed the amount of rubber tested or the size of rubber tested either, presumably because that would not make a difference to the size of the rubber that was in contact with the roller. So any 2 out of those 3 could have gotten you your first 2 marks for question 3. Then looking at A part 2, it said, why should these factors be kept constant? Is it to make it easier to set up the apparatus? Is it so that a comparison can be made between the properties of the 2 types of rubber? Is it so that the same apparatus could be used for both sets of measurements? Or is it the only thing that affects the results must be the factor that is being investigated? So if we look at, is it to make it easier to set up the apparatus? Well, that's not going to have any bearing on how valid this experiment is, so that's not going to be the answer. So that a comparison can be made between the properties of the 2 types of rubber sounds reasonable. So it possibly could be that one, so that the same apparatus could be used for both sets of measurements. Again, that's not going to, the apparatus that you use is not going to make it more valid as long as your variables are all the same. But the last one, the only thing that affects the results must be the factor that is being investigated. This is true of every science experiment, that the only thing that is going to affect the results is the factor that you are investigating. In this case, the type of rubber is going to be the only thing that affects the results. So the answer must be box 4. So if you put a tick in box 4, you have got your mark for A part 2.